It is. Watch for it. Wow.
You are officially an astronaut.
Thank you so much.
I'm much better now that the ladies are back from space.
What were they up there, 10 minutes?
Well, it was very profound. I don't know if you've seen Katy Perry talk about it, but she's basically a guru now. Let's not minimize this. Let's celebrate female astronauts.
That's the other thing. There has been female astronauts.
Let's not minimize this.
Whoever came up with this title, give this guy a freaking raise. Tell me how this is not awesome. Astronaut. Astronaut.
God, this is so dumb.
Let's see how it went on board the Blue Origin spacecraft.
Flynn, I got you.
With her Daisy.
I got you, Flynn. Flynn, I got you. Oh, the moon. You guys, I will have to tell you, look at the moon.
Doing a whole bunch of nothing.
For us watching her
Look, I brought my little butterfly.
Katy Perry's Blue Origin spaceflight was supposed to be a bold leap for female empowerment, but instead of making history, it triggered a digital firestorm of mockery, backlash, and brutal satire. From kissing the ground post-landing to poetic, speeches about cosmic rebirth, her attempt to turn a billionaire-funded ride into a spiritual milestone became a global punchline.
This woman went to space for like 4 minutes. What is she kissing the ground for? Pointing up at the sky.
Katie.
And to the guy, woo, Katie, yeah. Dumb, bro.
And now, the internet's most ruthless satirists, South Park's Trey Parker and Matt Stone, are ready to pounce. According to insiders, they're planning an all-out parody, and it's not going to be pretty. When Katy Perry boarded Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin rocket, it was hyped as history, a monumental step for women in space, with headlines celebrating an all-female crew and social media flooded with hashtags about empowerment. But when the capsule returned just 11 minutes later, the illusion began to falter that this wasn't a scientific breakthrough or a groundbreaking expedition. It was, quite literally, a joyride that barely scraped the edge of space before turning back to Earth. The reality was that none of the participants were astronauts in any official capacity. They were, for all intents and purposes, glorified space tourists, passengers on a billionaire's vanity project dressed up as a feminist milestone. Yet the reaction from Perry made it seem like she had just returned from a voyage to Mars. She emerged tearful and emotional, kissing the ground, speaking in flowery metaphors about the fragility of Earth and the spiritual transformation she underwent.
I'm going to tell you something right now. You are officially an astronaut.
Bro.
Stop the cap. Stupid.
Let me tell you right now, Katie, you're officially an astronaut. I guess I'm a freaking brain surgeon then. I couldn't believe. Wow, I can't believe she even said. How do you even format your lips to say something so stupid?
To viewers back home busy grappling the harsh realities of daily life, the performance felt less like a profound awakening and more like a tone-deaf monologue from someone very out of touch.
The worst part is when
There's people starving in other countries and we're clapping and cheering. Like, bro, this is wild. And then Katy Perry steps out, starts kissing the ground. Bro, the stories write themselves. Like, we are living in a Black Mirror episode. Like, what is this, bro? Yeah.
The spaceflight might have been short, but the ripple effect of that dissonance was massive. What was framed as a triumph began to look like a misfire. Within hours of Katy Perry's touchdown, social media erupted with parodies and savage edits that spread faster than any official Blue Origin footage. Social media was flooded with memes comparing her spiritual awakening to a roller coaster ride at a high-end amusement park.
She essentially took a roller coaster ride.
The symbolism she tried so hard to embed, from the daisy emblem to the flowery Earth monologues, was instantly rebranded as cringecore content.
It's so cringy.
It didn't help that even brands joined in. Wendy's roasted her with a sarcastic tweet calling her the Neil Armstrong of midlife crises. Her image, once carefully curated as a pop icon with mass appeal, was now being shredded in real time by a digital audience that wasn't buying the spiritual rebrand, but the real damage was the shift in public perception. For many, this was a reflection of the growing frustration with rich and famous figures trying to wrap luxury experiences in the language language of struggle, growth, or activism. Her daisy of resilience became a laughingstock, a hollow symbol that robbed it of whatever sincerity it might have once had. Perry's attempt to sell the spaceflight as profound had backfired. She looked rehearsed, and in an era where authenticity reigns supreme, that's the one thing no PR campaign can fake. Word inside the animation industry is that South Park isn't just mocking Katy Perry's Blue Origin fiasco, they're building an entire episode around it. Insiders close to the show's production claim that Trey Parker and Matt Stone see this as the perfect material for a full-on satirical event. And if you know South Park's history, that's where careers go to die. The creators have never been known for subtlety. South Park has a long track record of turning real-life scandals into brutal, unforgettable cultural takedowns.
Along with PR experts who are claiming the singer may face career extinction.
With Perry, the situation is too perfect to ignore. A tone-deaf celebrity, a billionaire-backed space circus, and a painfully rehearsed attempt to reframe it all as inspiring. It's the kind of hypocrisy Parker and Stone specialize in mocking. Leaked details suggest that the upcoming episode will portray a Katy-like character trying to live-stream her cosmic rebirth, only for it to descend into chaos as the feed glitches, and a backstage crew frantically adjusts lighting and cue cards. Another scene allegedly features Jeff Bezos tripping over space jargon while trying to promote the mission, only to be roasted by children in a classroom for calling Perry an astronaut. It's vicious, it's dark, and it's very on brand. Even more revealing is that this episode is being treated as a cornerstone of the new season. Animators have been quietly posting rocket emojis and cryptic space queen jokes on private accounts, sparking rumors. If the leaks are even half true, Perry's post-space image is about to take another massive hit, and it may be far harder to recover from. As the ridicule mounted and rumors of South Park's takedown spread, panic quietly took hold of Katy Perry's team. According to insiders close to her camp, her PR strategists went into overdrive, scrambling to reclaim control of the narrative. The plan was to flood the media with more charity appearances, emotional interviews, and heartfelt Instagram posts filled with ethereal captions about unity, transformation, and cosmic perspective. But the internet wasn't letting go, even Blue Origin wasn't immune to the fallout. Sources within the company suggest that Jeff Bezos himself was growing uneasy with the spectacle that had unfolded.
However, there's been some critics saying some stuff in it.
Really?
Rob, I don't know if you have any of the critic stuff or not. Do you have any of the stuff on how they open a door first and then they have to reopen the door and they have to say, go back in there, and then Jeff Bezos falls. Poor guy's tripping. He's having a hard time.
What was supposed to be a powerful moment for space tourism had devolved into a load of satire. At a private industry event, Bezos reportedly joked that next time he might send Snoop Dogg into orbit. At least then the laughs would be intentional. Behind the humor, though, was real frustration. The mission was meant to elevate Blue Origin's credibility. Instead, it became a viral case study in what not to do with a celebrity-endorsed flight. Perry's handlers may have underestimated just how hard it is to steer a cultural narrative once it slips into mockery. Every new post she made was met with eye rolls, sarcastic comments, or layered memes. Her attempts to appear profound were swallowed whole by a machine that thrives on scouting out inauthenticity. As the backlash intensified, a new term began making the rounds in cultural commentary circles: Fullmanism. A fusion of faux feminism and space tourism, it perfectly captured the disillusionment many felt watching Katy Perry and her fellow passengers pose as pioneers. The flight was initially framed as a feminist milestone, but once the public dug past the headlines, the empowerment narrative began to unravel. Critics quickly pointed out that none of the women on board were engineers, scientists, or astronauts. They weren't breaking barriers in aerospace, they were invited passengers on a billionaire-funded publicity ride. Instead of celebrating the achievements of underrepresented women in STEM fields, the mission spotlighted already wealthy celebrities dressed in custom flight suits, floating weightlessly for photo ops. Worse still, the messaging leaned heavily into performative inspiration. Take up space became the mission's rallying cry, a well-intentioned phrase that quickly backfired.
Take up space! Their message for women was take up space. You guys are taking up too much space already.
Social media users skewered the slogan, calling it tone-deaf and ironic, especially during a time when many women are literally being pushed out of healthcare, education, and housing. The idea that millionaires in a rocket ship symbolized collective female progress felt less like empowerment and more like satire in motion. Lauren Sanchez's smiling proclamation that "we're all in this together" delivered from the walls of a luxury space capsule became a meme overnight. overnight. To many, it encapsulated the growing gap between everyday people and the elite. Empowerment was being reframed as something you could purchase if you had the right connections and a billionaire to sponsor your ride. Instead of uplifting the message, Katy's journey exposed how easily corporate feminism can collapse under scrutiny. What began as a celebration of women ended with a deeper conversation about privilege disguised as progress. The parody wasn't just inevitable, it practically wrote itself. As more leaks surfaced about South Park's upcoming episode, it became clear that Trey Parker and Matt Stone weren't holding back. According to insiders in the animation industry, the writers saw Katy Perry's Blue Origin trip as a goldmine for what it symbolized about the state of modern fame. They weren't just going after Katy, they were taking aim at the entire industry of celebrity spectacle, corporate virtue signaling, and billionaires playing dress-up as normal folk. The writers are reportedly weaving the parody into a broader storyline about a dystopian future where celebrities regularly launch themselves into space for attention, with each mission becoming more unhinged than the last. Perry's trip, in this world, is just the beginning of a media-obsessed arms race, where stunts replace sincerity and applause is measured in likes, not legacy. Animation crew members have even hinted at a space cult subplot, where astronauts chant about rebirth and resilience, while secretly reading off scripts. It's satire? Yes, but the truth behind the parody isn't far off from reality, and that's what makes it sting. For Katy, this episode could be more than just an animated jab. It's shaping up to be the cultural exclamation point on a PR disaster she's been struggling to contain. As whispers of South Park's takedown episode spread, the internet's mockery didn't slow. Every attempt by Katy Perry to steer the conversation back to sincerity was instantly rejected. Her emotional interviews were clipped and overdubbed with laugh tracks. Her symbolic daisy, once intended to represent resilience, was now endlessly mocked. It was relentless, and it was viral. What made it sting more was that even her longtime fans weren't defending her. In comments and fan forums, people began questioning the authenticity of her post-space persona. Was this the same artist who once challenged norms with unfiltered energy? Or had she become just another over-polished figure trying to stay relevant? Some argued that she'd become more brand than person, and her performance on the space capsule only confirmed it. Every cosmic metaphor was analyzed, every spiritual quote ridiculed. It wasn't just Katy Perry being mocked, it was the idea of celebrities using space travel as if drifting above the Earth could magically wipe the slate clean. And while her team pushed forward with curated Instagram reels and inspirational content, the response was far from the one they hoped for. One video, showing Katy softly cradling a daisy while whispering about unity, was remixed within hours into a satirical horror. Another clip of her kissing the ground after landing was used, making her look less like an explorer and more like the lead in a parody skit. By now, every move she made worsened everything. The more she tried to inspire, the more she became a meme, and the harder she fought to reclaim her image, the faster it slipped through her fingers. Katy Perry may have rocketed into the upper atmosphere, but her legacy took a nosedive the moment the FAA clarified that none of the passengers, including Katy, qualified as astronauts. The final thread holding her narrative together snapped. All the space-themed symbolism, the speeches about rebirth, the daisy of resilience weren't just mocked, they were invalidated by the very institution that defines space travel. And with that, the internet had its final piece of ammunition. Suddenly, even casual observers were chiming in. News outlets began reframing their coverage, no longer calling it a space mission, but a celebrity joyride. Editorials questioned why billion-dollar companies were platforming influencers instead of real pioneers. Commentators called it a masterclass in how to destroy goodwill through over-marketing. And as South Park prepped its satirical kill shot, it was clear that Katy's post-flight campaign had gone from clumsy to catastrophic. Meanwhile, another contrast emerged that only made things worse. Martha Stewart casually posted a throwback to her own zero-gravity experience from years ago. No hashtags, no speeches, just a simple photo, quiet confidence, and a caption that didn't scream for attention. The internet pounced on the comparison. One had turned her space moment into a punchline, the other into a footnote of understated cool. And that brutal side-by-side made Katy's overproduction feel even more artificial. Blue Origin 2 began reevaluating its celebrity partnerships. Reports suggested that internal meetings shifted focus toward credibility and scientific value. The idea of sending more influencers into orbit was suddenly toxic. After all, if one trip could cause this much reputational damage, was the PR payoff even worth it? For Perry, the consequences extended beyond headlines. The space stunt she likely hoped would reinvent her image instead magnified everything audiences already questioned: the performative messaging, the disconnect from everyday struggles, and the symbolism with no substance beneath. And with South Park soon to immortalize the moment in infamy, the final chapter may not be hers to write. Katy Perry reached for the stars, but the fallout was devastating. What was meant to be a defining moment became a cautionary tale, not just about celebrity overreach, but about the fine line between inspiration and illusion. In an era where audiences crave authenticity, even a trip to space isn't immune to scrutiny. The message is clear that no amount of altitude can lift a story built on branding instead of truth. As South Park prepares its final blow, Katy's legacy from this mission won't be about breaking barriers. It'll be about what happens when image takes priority over integrity. And in a world that's quick to turn their backs on you, sometimes the most dangerous thing for a celebrity is image control.